All right, today we have a 2005 Honda Shadow VT750C. Customer complained that when you turn the fuel on, gas would pour out, so we obviously have a carburetor issue. So we're going to be cleaning carburetors today on this, and once we get that done, then we have to do an oil change because I'm sure there's fuel in the engine cases. So let me put you in a stand and we'll dig right into this thing. See you in a bit. All right, just to give you a quick overview on what we're dealing with today, I'll just do a walk around so you can see what this motorcycle looks like somewhat up close. All right, this is a 750cc V-twin shaft drive, very popular bike in the early 2000s. They were able to easily be modified to sound good with some pipes and a jet kit. Unfortunately, we won't be doing that today, but we do have to remove the seat, the gas tank, get at the carburetors underneath the air filter over here. Underneath the seat also is the battery box, and we have a brand new battery to put in. So we're gonna put that in, and let's just jump right into it. I already took the back seat bolt out. We got to do these little side Allens. They're kind of tucked away underneath there. Trying to figure out how to get the seat off. It's a little tricky sometimes. All right, we got that one loose. Go over to the other side here. Get this one. All right, now the seat should just lift right off and out. Put that down. And here we have the battery box. This is the ECU for the machine. There's this one Phillips head screw that comes out, and that gives us access to the battery box. All right, so it's just this one Phillips head screw right here. Comes right out. Now there's a clip here. You just kind of slide this off to the side. Now we'll lay the ECU carefully over there. And boom, you got access to your battery box. Next we'll have to get at these two bolts here. Alright, we got to get these two bolts out. Now this is where it gets kind of tricky. I'm going to have to put this in a stand because I'm not scratching any paint. Because you got to move this out of the way, and it's easy to scratch these things up. You'll see what I mean in a second. Hold on. As you can see, I put a rag over the top of the Speedo. Just pushing it forward, it could scratch up on the triple trees. You don't want to scratch the chrome, you don't want to scratch the paint. Like I said, it's a little tricky, but I've done it so many times. You just take your time, be careful. Pull that off to the side. Good thing Honda gives you a lot of cable to deal with. Now I'm just resting this off to the side. And it'll be fine, absolutely fine right there. Unplugging it, really not that necessary, it really isn't. So, okay, well, now we're left with the one bolt back here that holds the tank down. I believe that's a 12 millimeter. All right, what you got on this side is the fuel petcock. It's got a fuel line and a vacuum line. Just undo those. There's also a vacuum line under here. Take that off. Now this tank should just slide up and back. Have a place where you know where you're going to put this already mapped out. So you can just place it on there without scratching it. Nothing's going to happen to it. And it exposes everything that you see here now, which makes it way easy to get at these carburetors, get this air filter off of there. We're going to do that next. As you can see, this is where the carburetors are located. Looks pretty intimidating, I know. You have all kinds of hoses and cables and electrical. And then on this side you got the air box, air filter, some more cables and hoses. And this is where I'll show you how to go through all this to get these carburetors out. It looks very intimidating, but trust me, it's really not that bad. So hold on, we'll get you back up in the stand and I'll show you how this works. Alright, so now we're on this side. Get this air cleaner cover off. Really don't have to take it off, but it's a good idea to look, make sure there's no rat's nest or anything. Stuff sits for a while. As you can see, it's got a little bit of stuff dripping out of it. You want to clean that off anyway. Air filter. Whew. This thing's been sitting for a quick minute. Alright, you got your breather box here. Loosen that up. And then you got your screw clamp for carburetor itself. Just loosen that up. Got the breather here going to the top of the valve cover. You can either take it off from here or take it off from down here. I choose down here, and I just slide it off with a screwdriver. Bottom you have 8mm head screws. You just go right into the cylinder. Take one out. Take the other side out. And then this whole assembly will come off. This cable pushes out to the side. And go put your air box, air filter, and cover someplace where it's not going to get damaged. And that leads you to the carburetor, CB carburetor. There's old fuel in there. So next we're going to tackle getting this out of here, which, like I said, it looks like a big problem, because there's all kinds of everything in there holding it in, and hoses. But like I said, it just looks worse than it really is. Especially after watching this video, you'll know how to take these out easily. Alright, what we have here is a screw style hose clamp that holds the carburetor onto the machine, and it's very tight fit. I would show you with a close-up, but the lighting's not that great in here and you probably wouldn't be able to see it anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen that up just a good amount. Don't go all the way. And then you should be able to take the carburetor, pop it down out of the boot, and it comes down. You got this wire, there's a little tab that you bend up. Got this clamp. Take the clamp out. I take a little screwdriver and just touch down inside here and pop this plug right out. You'll still have your throttle cables hooked up and everything, which is not a problem. Don't even worry about that. You got a hose here off to the side. That's just for emissions. And then that pops off. And then you have the other hose here for emissions that will pop off also. You have your clamp here for your choke. See if I can. There we go. It has a fork type mounting position. You just pull the rubber back. I'll show you it after. And unscrew it. And then push the whole assembly back through the clamp. And it'll pop right out. Back onto this side. Now you have the fuel line coming through. There's these two. These are just like heaters for the coolant. So I might have some coolant run out. Okay. Now that you got everything on, all your hoses unplugged, cable unplugged here, all your emissions, you can pull the whole carburetor out, choke lever, everything pops out. This is what I was talking about, the choke lever. Fits in that groove right there. Easily comes out. I'll turn it to the side. And I usually mark mine cables so in case they come undone by accident, I could get at them real easy. I'll then take these Phillips head screws out of the side of the carburetor. There's one. There's number two. And I'll allow you to remove the throttle cables out. Down there, pop that out. And there you go. Now you have your whole carburetor in your hand. We'll go over, we'll put this on the bench. We'll clean out a nice area up there. And we'll start to show you how to clean out this carburetor and make sure it's going to function properly. You can see it's got a lot of old fuel stuck to it. The actual accelerator pump doesn't even pump. It's kind of stuck. I'll show you how to unstick that. Butterflies are working. Still a lot more old smelly gas. All right, before I leak any more all over the place and stink up the joint even more, let's shut this off and I'll meet you over at the bench and we'll get this thing cleaned up. All right, here's a little close-up of the hose clamp I was talking about. It's just screw right here. That's your first one. Like I said, this is a vacuum line. You got your two coolant lines down here. Obviously your throttle cables. And you got your vacuum hose up top here. And this is where the plug is for the throttle position sensor. Yeah, so that's all it is. It's just in a very, very tight spot, as you can see. So, all right, like I said, now we're going to go over to the bench here, and we're going to take a look at this carburetor and see what the inside of it looks like. I'm pretty sure it's going to be as gross as it smells on the outside, that's for sure. So let's go over there and check it out. All right, what we got here, we got the spot now for disassembling this carburetor. I got just a couple simple tools for right now. Got a tip cleaner for all the jets and a Phillips head screwdriver. All right, well, let's tear into this one. First, we'll get the bowl screws out. I've already opened up the drain and drained all the fuel out because it was pretty nasty. I keep saying it, you probably heard me say it 1,000 times through this video, but man, it's got some ripeness to it. So now we got this to come off for the accelerator pump. There's spacers and washers and everything. Be careful taking this apart and note how it comes apart so you can put it back together again. There's your float bowl gasket, plastic washer, regular washer. You got a lock washer there. Now this is what we're after here. We got the bowl, like I said, with the gasket. Look at everything inside. Here's your main jet. Here's your main jet, your pilot jet, your floats, fuel mixture screw. Those are the main components you're going to be after when cleaning this. You want to be able to get these floats out of there, clean them up, make sure they're not damaged. And we'll just keep going on the disassembly. Slide moves up and down. The umbrella seals in the CV carburetor. All right, just keep going. I'll take the accelerator pump part. The reason these always get gummed up is fuel sits in the bowl and there's a little passageway that fills up this area underneath. So when you first initially hit the gas, I mean, that thing's solid. When you first initially hit the gas on the motorcycle, it shoots a little nice spray of raw fuel right down the throat of the carburetor. So there's no hiccups or poor acceleration issues. If you're having any of that, poor acceleration issues, then most likely it's going to be your accelerator pump. Now there's all tiny little holes in this. There's a spring here that pushes on the diaphragm. This whole piece comes off of there. And maybe we could get it out. Yeah, there we go. It's got lots of buildup on it, on the stem here, as you can see. It's supposed to not, any of that's not supposed to be there. All up inside. That's where the fuel comes in. This will actually get, when this gets pushed down, it will push up and pushes fuel through here, which then on the bottom side of the carburetor, it has the receiving end of it, and where it will push up through right in this whole area right here, and it will come right out through here and squirt fuel straight down through the carburetor. All right, so next we'll take out the pin for the float valve. It just slides out the side. Now here's your float. Here's your needle, float needle. This is the seat. This is what, when the float comes up, and it'll push on this needle, which then shuts the fuel off coming into the carburetor. If you ever, like this machine was having an issue, you open up the fuel valve, this was stuck in the open position. So it's just letting fuel in, and then it'll come out and it'll come out through the overflow. Now we'll get the main jet out of there. Sometimes it'll separate just from here, but look, you can see all the green inside there and everything. Then we got our pilot jet. If your bike doesn't idle, unless you pull the choke on a little bit, most likely this is what's clogged up. There's just a little tiny hole that this breathes through. So, well, puts fuel through, not breathes. So, you got your main jet and a motion tube, and you got your pilot jet. This is how the pilot jet looks like. I could separate this and show you. It's just a little tiny jet. This little bit right here on the end. You got your float, you got your tools. This is where you're gonna need your tip cleaner. This thing's invaluable. It's cleaned so many carburetors for me over the years. Well, pays for itself. Obviously, the really bent up ones are the ones I use quite a bit. Stick them down the center. This is just to clean the heavy garbage out of it. Main jet's usually quite a bit bigger, so pretty much anything that goes through will go through. See, even these big wires go right through it like no big deal. All right, we will put those in the cleaner. I'm gonna soak this in the cleaner also, all the parts, the whole carburetor. I'm gonna finish stripping this down. Get all these rubber pieces off, because you don't want to leave this soaking for any length of time. It will definitely damage the carburetor, damage the rubber. It will swell up, and it just turns into a whole disaster and pretty much ruins the carburetor completely. Now, at $500 for a replacement carburetor, just don't do it. Take your time, pay attention to what you're working on, and you'll get through it no problem. Now we'll take slide out for the check the umbrella. I remember back when they switched the fuel to the oxygenated fuel that we have now, and it created a lot of havoc in the industry for cleaning carburetors. Seemed like every motorcycle that came in had to have the carbs cleaned on it. Alright, now this last screw comes out. Now it's a spring underneath here, pretty long spring. Comes out, it doesn't matter which way that goes. This is your umbrella slide. You just want to take this, hold it up to the light, make sure there's no pinholes in it or tears. It's still very pliable. Everything seems to be somewhat decent. It's covered in old fuel. As you can see in there, it's just really old stuff. And yeah, when you're like doing a jet kit on these, you would pop this out, and they usually have you drill the hole out a little bit bigger so there's quicker action. On the vacuum slide, you'll put a bigger main jet in there and a different pilot jet, and that's basically what they consider a jet kit for a Honda. I believe that also too they changed the spring. And you put a different tension spring in there, so it actuates the slide a lot faster. Yeah, pretty much there's really not much to a jet kit, but it's definitely needed, because if you put pipes on a bike without rejetting it, it's just going to backfire, cough, hiccup, poor acceleration. It's just not going to work right. It's going to make you more angry, and kind of make you look a little funny going down the road with your bike backfiring and popping. Not cool, All right, so we're at this point in the video with everything. Now the boring part comes, where it's just cleaning a carburetor. You've probably seen billions of carburetors cleaned already. So there's no anything exciting regarding that. If there is something, I find something that's worth recording, I'll definitely record it. But at this point, I really don't see anything that is shocking. So we'll end this video right here, and I'll clean this carburetor. When I come back, I'll show you how to reassemble, and we'll get it back in the bike, and we'll try to get this thing fired up and take her for a spin, hopefully. Alright, well, until then, I'll see you next time.